Well, hello and welcome. Napoleon Hill's 17 Principles of Personal Achievement, law number 17, is about habits. It says, developing and establishing positive habits leads to peace of mind, health, and financial security. You are where you are because of your established habits and thoughts. Talk Leadership with Cedrick starts right now. Well, hello and welcome to Talk Leadership with Cedrick. Everybody needs a little TLC. Talk Leadership with Cedrick is where we focus on leadership and personal growth with business leaders, educators, and local thought leaders. Our goal is to introduce our audience to leaders who are making an impact with innovative ideas. Our guiding leadership principle is the law of contribution, which says growing yourself enables you to grow others. See, you can't give what you don't have. So first you must grow yourself in order to grow others. We believe outstanding leaders like yourself will help us to grow others. So tonight, we have three dynamic leaders, really four dynamic leaders, but three we're going to really be talking to tonight. And every week I like to do a proper introduction of our guests. So let me do a proper introduction of each one of our guests tonight. We're going to start with Miss Alecsys Williams. She goes by Alex. She's my niece, and she is a woman of many talents. She's a city girl as well as a little country girl. Growing up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Lake Charles, Louisiana, allowed Alex to live in the best of both worlds. Her favorite foods are seafood, tacos, and chicken wings. She loves sports, especially football, in which she played women's tackle football for 4 years. Sticking to her love of food, people, and music, she moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2012 and has been growing ever since. She's a loving parent and devoted partner. Alex has hosted a successful radio show, Girl Talk, on a new radio station, highlighting Atlanta's lesbian and gay artists and business owners. When not in Atlanta promoting and hosting an event, you can find her either cooking delicious, sweet, and savory edibles in her company called Edibles by Alex Inc., or at Cracker Barrel, where she serves as an employee training coordinator. She is a leader and a role model. Alex plans to be there for all the females that identify with a more masculine demeanor, showing them that you can live the best life just by being themselves. So welcome Alecsys to the show. I call her Alecsys, folks. Everybody else call her Alex, but she's my niece, so I'm calling her Alecsys. Ebony Porter is our next guest. Welcome, Ebony. Ebony Porter is an engaging educational leader and a dynamic speaker, podcast personality, and an up-and-coming entrepreneur. She completed both her bachelor's of business administration and her master's of education from Ohio University. As creator and founder of Sis, This is 30, Ebony guides millennials as they navigate their 30s. Serving as an engaging and funny host, she motivates and encourages leaders in over 11 countries every week. Lastly, Sis, This is 30 is a Christian podcast that emphasizes the importance of seeking Christ every step of the way and applying this in her teaching. She works as an educator, and she has served in leadership roles at Ohio University, St. Joseph Preparatory School, and Friends Select School. She is committed to ensuring that the youth and young adults successfully navigate education and are equipped to fulfill their calling and pursue their passions. In 2021, She's already thinking into existence. She is going to be launching a cake company in memory of her grandmother, Doris Porter, who was a former owner of Porter's Soul Food restaurant in Akron, Ohio. Now, I love this. Her guiding quote is, every man and woman is born into the world to do something unique and something distinct. And if he or she does not do it, it will never be done. It's a quote by Benjamin Mays. So welcome Miss Ebony Porter to the show. And she goes by Ebony, and I call her Ebony. Right. So next we have Miss Tamia, Dr. Tamia McEwen. Dr. McEwen is a yoga and wellness instructor and owner of Be Well Friends, advocates for whole health and wellness through lifestyle change based on the pillars of caring for self, relating to others, and contributing to society. She began her career in public education and currently advocates for mental and physical wellness through local and national peer support networks. She holds a doctorate of philosophy in curriculum and instruction, a master's of arts in secondary reading, yoga, and wellness certification that includes level 1. Is it Young? Okay, there you go. See, her desire is to provide tools for people to be able to do the good they desire to do without dying on the vine of advocacy. Intentional wellness is her means of creating space for mind-body balance, showing up in the world as our best selves to do as much good as we can for as long as we can. I absolutely love that. She provides holistic wellness support through her company, Be Well Friends, LLC. And we'll have all of their contact information in the comments so that you can stay in contact with them or reach out to them for their business. So welcome, Dr. Tamia McEwen.
Hello.
And so finally, we have Ms. Angela Hooper Menningfield. And on another show, I said we might as well call her doctor. She's Miss Doctor, right? And Angela is a business partner of mine. We are co-founders in the Black Entrepreneurs Institute. Angela is not only a leader in her company, Menningfield and Associates, but she's also a podcaster. She has her own talk show every Thursday, 1:00 Central Time on the IBGR network. She has a podcast around HR. So if you want to know anything about HR matters, human relationships, human resources matters, then you need to reach out to Angela. If you're having trouble with employees, if you're trying to figure out how to hire new employees, if you need someone to help you set up and what do they call it? Not an intake, but when you're signing up new employees, registration, I forgot what they call it, but
onboarding.
Onboarding, yes, there it is. See how simple it is, and I just can't think of it. I need a complicated word. But then you need to call Ms. Angela Hooper Menningfield. So let's get started with Talk Leadership. Thank you, Angela, for joining. So you know what I want to do tonight, ladies? I want to you to talk about your journey to entrepreneurship. I want you to talk about your business, and then we're going to talk about your journey into the Black Entrepreneur Institute Bootcamp. But let's first talk about you. Let's let the audience understand. I read your bio, but let's bring it to life now. So Alecsys, tell us the name of your business and what your area of focus is and your target audience.
Well, the name of my company is Edibles by Alecsys Incorporated. I came to it by just simply being me and just doing what I like to do. I love food and I like people. So I feel like I should just put it together and just sell it. Not really sell that, but make that happen for everyone. I decided that I should be a role model for those that look like me because I didn't have that growing up. So that's what I want to do. So just putting me out there for everybody, and they can learn from it, grow from it, and make better decisions in things that they do in life.
Awesome. So, Dr. McEwen, tell us a little bit about your business and yourself.
So, as you read, my career started in education. So I was in education for 22 years in K-12 education. I taught high school. I was an English teacher. And during my very first year teaching, I had a major nervous breakdown, major, very public, that I wasn't even sure that I would be able to overcome. And I did. And I continued teaching. I, overcame for 22 years, stayed not only in education, but went into leadership, got my master's, got my PhD, all after having this onset during my first year teaching. But I learned about myself during that process. And it wasn't until, 20 years down the road, I still realized that my pathway to being my whole best self really was through wellness. So through physical, some physical elements came up in terms of uterine fibroid tumors, and that turned my attention to what does it really mean to be well? For myself, what does that look like? And so the formation of Be Well Friends came out of my walk, my lifestyle of wellness, and putting myself back together. And as they say, once you find something that's good, you cannot keep it to yourself. You have to share it with others. And that's where my passion and even my walk of wellness came from, just from my own lived experiences.
Well, that is awesome and outstanding. And obviously your lived experiences helped you to do a lot of, Damian Johnson, one of our co-founders, always says, take massive actions. And look, you took some massive action. That's awesome. So Ebony.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here today. So I have always had an entrepreneurial spirit since my youth. I can remember being in middle school, making cookies and Rice Krispies and selling them in the hallway. You all know I'm an eater. Even before we hit, we started the show tonight, I'm munching on things, right? And so I don't hide it. But more recently, two things have kind of come up. I've really been exploring additional passions, and one is that I love to cook and I want to launch a cake business. So that's why I shared, next year, even in the midst of everything that's going on, the cake business is going to launch because people are still eating. People still want to celebrate, whether it's virtually or not. So I'm really excited about that. I studied business in undergrad. And I just want to continue to grow and to develop. Another thing that I launched during the podcast that has been going particularly well is my podcast. And it's just been an opportunity to connect with other millennial women. And it's not only women who listen, but just millennials in general, to support and help them navigate 30, because 30 is extremely different, right? Trying to get ready for 40 and making sure that you're hitting those milestones in your career and preparing for family and possibly being a homeowner and making sure you have enough to, retire, right? And so we're talking about all of those things on the podcast. So yes, I love podcasting, baking, speaking, encouraging people, and that's the brand right now. Cooking and talking.
I think you're muted, Angela.
Oh, my apologies. No, I was just laughing when Ebony said, 30 is different. Girl, wait till 50 comes. Okay. But you are so true. You're so true. I love what you're doing. I love what all you ladies are doing. So again, like everybody else, thank you so much, Cedrick. And so, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity as we talk about your businesses to ask you guys, you recently, all three of you, graduated from the Black Entrepreneurs Institute Bootcamp you know, and I smile and say with honors, right? Because one of the things that we've talked about in other shows is the fact that the people who really show up, do the work, are the ones we're seeing this transformation with. So let's just talk a little bit about that. And so I would love for you guys to tell us exactly why did you decide to register for the boot camp? And then I'd like for you to add to that, you know, based on what your expectations were when you registered, how do you see that being fulfilled? So let's start with Tamia.
So thank you, Angela. So I actually joined the boot camp from a recommendation from a mentor. I went through the John Maxwell, Leading Through Adversity, and we did 8 weeks together. And through that, I really joined that to really find out, like, yes, I know that I have established this Be Well Friends, and you know, what is it that I really, really want to do? It's the difference between, you know, as we talked about in the Institute, you know, having a hobby and having a business. And so it was recommended that I join the BEI, Black Entrepreneur Institute. And, you know, I was looking for a group of like-minded individuals to be able to really launch into just more sustained action. And I received that. I received the opportunity to really grow and navigate and see myself as an actual business owner and operator.
Alexa, you need to mute her.
I think you can mute her actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that now.
So, and Tamia, let me apologize too, because I actually mispronounced your name. You know, I know better. I was the one always saying it's Tamia, it's Tamia. And but today I'm reading the screen, and it's so funny because I'm trying to keep you guys in order. So, you know, first, let me just publicly apologize because I want our viewers as well to make sure they pronounce your name correctly. So it's Tamia. So y'all forgive me for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I honor that, and I charge it up to a tomato. So it's all good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your journey with us and letting us play a small role. So what about you, Ebony? Talk a little bit about why you decided to join the boot camp.
So have you ever talked about doing something for a while, but you just haven't leaped yet? You know, like that's part of 30, right? I've always talked about entrepreneurship, wanting to be my own boss, but I just was dragging my feet because I was finding success in my profession, but wasn't happy, right? Mm-hmm. So I had, as Tamia mentioned, we share a common mentor, and my mentor was like, you need to do the boot camp, right? And I was like, okay, you know, I need to stop talking and actually do what I say I want to do. And so that's what it stemmed from, you know, just taking the opportunity to leap and do something a little bit more targeted. Because as I mentioned before, I studied marketing and I studied management information systems. So I'm not foreign to business, but the fact that this was really specific was very beneficial. And it just pushed me to really leap. It pushed me to think about the podcast in new ways. It pushed me to think about how I can start to generate income, build my audience. And then it also pushed me to think about what do I naturally just love doing and how can that switch from not being a hobby anymore to income. And I know that I love to cook. So I'm just like, okay, what can I start doing centered around that? And so since the end of the boot camp, I'm in the kitchen. I'm coming up with recipes. I have like a test kitchen, right? And I'm thinking about some of the greatest people that have made things. I'm like, oh, how many times did it take Hershey to figure out, you know, to make the perfect chocolate, or, you know, Heinz 57. So I'm really inspired sometimes, you know, when I'm in the kitchen trying to come up with the perfect cake recipe, and inspired as I continue to develop content for the podcast. So the bootcamp definitely just propelled me to stop talking and to start doing. And I also had a great group of peers that held me accountable.
I so love that. And as I'm hearing this, so, I definitely follow you all on social media, and I've definitely been seeing you cooking. And I think, you and I have had a couple of calls together. Right now my brain is storming like, okay, Ebony and I we need another call because I got some things that I want to talk to her about for her business. But I love that. Thank you.
And I love cake, so I'm excited about that 2021 cake launch.
Yes, I'm really excited. I mean, I'm excited too to figure out the shipping and, making it something where it can touch all over the US. It's really exciting.
It definitely is. So Alex, what about you? Talk to us a little bit about your decision to join the boot camp and how that has helped you propel your business.
Well, the decision for me to join the boot camp came very easily. I've already been working on my personal development for the past year, I believe it was. So when my Uncle Cedrick was talking about BEI and all this stuff and opportunity to work with you guys, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. So I missed the first sign up because I was like, dang, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. So when the second one came around, I went all in. And ever since then, I've been all in. The only way I feel like you can grow as a person is you got to take the dive and grow and invest in yourself. I took a lot of time thinking around me was going to help me grow. That wasn't it. So I just been all in myself, and joining BEI just helped me go over the hill, over the mountain into a whole new plateau of other things that's going to happen pretty much.
And I can agree with that as an observer. I've been watching you since, as you say, the first boot camp. You were like our cheerleader, cheering along the participants of boot camp 1. And I can say to the world, the exact day boot camp number 2 opened up, the first registrant was Alex.
Well, if you're going to do something, you got to take action. You can't wait. You see what happens when you wait, you miss the opportunity. So you got to go when you're ready.
Yes, and we love that about you, Alex. And you are such a great supporter of everybody in the boot camp as well.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys are awesome.
Well, absolutely. And I've seen the growth in you over the last more than just 1 year, right? So keep that up. Absolutely love it. And I know that it's going to pay off in your business and what you're doing. In fact, you called me the other night when you were making some deliveries of your product, right? So
yes, sir.
That just shows that you're taking that massive action, and the boot camp helped you there. So let's talk about, share with the audience 1 or 2 things that you guys got out of the boot camp. So Tamia, help us understand 1 or 2 things that you took away from the boot camp.
So one thing that I took away from the boot camp was really interesting because I was in the place where I really was not sure if what I was doing was sustainable. Wellness is great. I mean, it's great, but so many either yoga instructors or wellness professionals are not able to make a sustainable living. And then, everybody was like, oh, well, with COVID, surely business is booming. But what people fail to share is that with COVID, you're now also sharing this space with the world. You're sharing it globally. So I was already in the space where I was thinking about sustainability, and BEI really helped me to have an actionable plan in place. And when I talk about actionable plan, that doesn't always mean that, today I put the plan in place and then, tomorrow the cash starts rolling in. It's a plan. It's a plan of action, which may take a while to roll out, but at least, I understand the pieces of the puzzle that I'm putting together and being okay with that. So I'm going to leave it there because I said a couple of things. I think it was 2 in 1. I believe that I shared basically sustainability and a plan of action to really be able to, make money with your business, which is what a business is there to do.
Hey, tell somebody that a business is designed to make money, right?
A business is designed to make money. You can
Absolutely.
betters on your own, but business is designed to make money.
I agree with you. So, Alecsys, what are 1 or 2 things that you took away?
The first thing I could say I took away from the boot camp is that there's other people that look just like you that have done it. there are other people that are there just like you that have done it. So you just got to do it. The other thing that I took away from the boot camp is that there's certain ways you have to do things. So just make sure you follow the steps and follow through with those steps. Don't just stop because it get hard, but do the steps that need to be done, follow through, and then continue going. Don't stop.
I absolutely love that. That you said, hey, follow the steps, follow a process, stick with it, and then follow through. And that's the key right there that a lot of business owners, right, Alecsys, that they,
yes, sir,
they don't do the follow through, right?
Yes, sir. They think it's easy, like the money's just gonna come or the client's just gonna come if you just put it out there. No, there's other things you have to do. And just because you get a no or somebody says, I don't want to do that, don't let that stop you. Just keep going. Like, just, okay, try again. You know, they don't want to take it that way. Try again. You know?
Absolutely. And no, and even in the sales training, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. In the sales training, we say a no just means they need more information, right? Absolutely.
Yep.
So, Ebony, give us one or two things that you took away from the boot camp.
So two things come to mind. First, you get a lesson on what is your niche, right? And so getting specific about what you do and who you want to do it with, right? Because many, Angela really stressed, like, everybody isn't your client, and being okay with that, right? I know for me, I am such a doer and I have so many different ideas, and I'm like, okay, I want to do. And Angela's like, okay, narrow it down. And we talked. She's like, okay, I just focus on the podcast right now and get that going. And as soon as that takes off, then you can go ahead and add the next thing. And I think that's where I'm at, right? Still cultivating the podcast, but now I'm ready to do, the cake business. So to kind of have somebody that's like, whoa, like you're doing too much. And so I love that. The second thing too was that you all really pushed was, can you make a pitch? I think it was in a minute or less about what you do. And that evening in class, I mean, literally, Angela or other people, you're giving your pitch, she's like, time. And you're like, wait, I'm only on 1.8 and I got 1.B, F, and I to tell you about, and you already done cut me off. And so the purpose of that exercise was to less is more, right? Being intentional with your words and being impactful with your words, and realizing that you only have that 60 seconds to make that impact or to pitch, because there's so many people are overstimulated in general, right? So that was my biggest takeaway. Get your niche, and whatever you're selling, be really concise when you pitch.
That's awesome.
I'm laughing for two reasons. One, because the reflective piece of, in life, I think so often we fail to go back and reflect. So to hear you all talk about your experience is really heartwarming, and it's entertaining as well. But I'm also envisioning that evening and remembering some of the, like, what you mean I'm done? Like, we really... It was some good stuff. And Ebony, I would be remiss, because you've mentioned the podcast a couple of times, to, not only is this 30, I think, transformational, but I just want to add to, tell our audience, how many countries now is your podcast currently being, consumed?
Thank you. So we are in 11 countries and counting, and the podcast only launched in May. So it's just exciting. I mean, by next May, we'll be probably in 22, right? Or 33. So it's just been really exciting. There are people in Australia listening, and parts of Germany and Nigeria. I'm just like, wait a minute. Well, how did y'all even find me, right? And so it's just really exciting. And there are men and women listening, young and old. So I just say, if you all have an idea, don't hesitate and think, well, will anybody listen? Will anybody want to tune in? I mean, I have consistently every week people from 11 countries tune in to hear what I have to say. And that's just been mind blowing.
It is, and it expands your reach. And I think we're all in the spaces that we're in. We want to help people. Alex talked about it, food and helping people are my thing. Tamia talked about, wellness and sharing my journey, and how can I take other people, on my journey with me and help them avoid, you know, some of the things that I experienced, and then the same thing with you, Ebony. So I just love it. I love you ladies so much. So let's talk a little bit. Let's get real specific now. So when you joined the boot camp, you were where you were. You went through the boot camp, successfully graduated. Now here we are, you know, a month or so post. Talk to us about what specifically, one or two things you're doing differently in your business today because you attended the boot camp. And so we'll go in reverse order this time. So Ebony, we'll start back with you.
So what am I doing differently? One, I'm really trying to be intentional about my goals, right? So actually writing goals down and then actually checking in with other entrepreneurs or people that I trust to say, what do you think? So I was talking about the cake company to a friend today. She's a successful entrepreneur. And she says, okay, she was pushing me to think more about inventory and the things that I'm going to have to, that I'm going to need to maintain my inventory and to sell, right? So I think the boot camp has laid a foundation for me not to just jump up like, okay, I'm going to buy a $400 mixer. And I'm, and thinking I'm going to need all this stuff. And she's, you all were like, no, think about the process first before you start jumping into the process. So that's definitely something that's different. And also setting goals and benchmarks. So you all heard me saying, oh, next 22 countries, 33 countries. But no, those are goals that I want to set for the podcast and ways that I need to grow. Another thing too that I'm thinking about differently is my marketing. We talked a lot about marketing and ways in which you have to be strategic. Alex already said earlier, you can't just put it out there like, yeah, the people will come. Like, no, I mean, until you hit like A-list status, we are all scrambling for the same audience. So being intentional about what you post on social media, when you post it, and just your content in general are things that I'm striving to do better. But I'll be honest, like the social media part, I'm already ready to like hire an intern, because to be really good at social media, either you have to pay for the platforms or you always have to be ready. A post yesterday, that's old news. So just being more intentional and strategic.
Love that. What about you, Tamia? You're still muted.
Like, I was so ready to talk. I'm talking on mute. So since the boot camp, a couple of things that I've done, and I'm going to talk about a couple of specific things that really impacted those changes. So one of the things that I've done is I have made actionable steps for my lifestyle as wellness curriculum. I have my framework together. I have, my information, and before it was just a thought. I've also built my virtual wellness community, and I've committed to staying in the business. One thing that I didn't share in the Institute is that I was ready to quit. I wasn't quitting wellness, but before the Institute, I was ready to just say, well, how about I just live my well life, and, whatever happens, happens. And so in going through the Institute, even I have to give a shout out to Dr. Nicole. I have to give a shout out to Damien, because they would not let me quit. They wouldn't let me quit on myself. They wouldn't let me quit during the role plays. They would not let me quit. And I've taken that same attitude into what I do as a business owner. Yes, it may be difficult. Yes, it may be hard. Yes, I may adjust how much I do and when, but I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting on myself, and I'm definitely not quitting on the people that I serve. And so, yeah, those are things I've done.
That's wow. I'm speechless, and you're exactly right. We didn't know that. So one, thank you for your transparency here today. But secondly, I am so glad that you did not, because like I said, I follow all you ladies. And when I say you are out there doing it, I see you. And people need to see you. Your voice matters. And so definitely keep pushing. All right, Alex, talk to us.
So what I've done since the boot camp, it's been like a month since the boot camp, right? I think a month change or something like that. So things I've intentionally been doing, I've gotten real specific with my branding. So working with my branding manager and making sure that everything lines up, from the colors to the font to the way we portray pictures on social media. Everything has to line up. So we have a 3-month plan that we work on. So we're on the 2nd month now. We're working on that. The other thing that I've been working on is just making sure that I'm specific with what I'm talking about with my business. So you have Edibles by Alecsys Incorporated up here, and then you have the edibles, the cantilevers, and then cooking by cannabis. Those 3 specific things. So just building the community with that and staying specific with everything that I'm doing, and just continue to grow pretty much.
Wow, absolutely love that. And I'm glad. I love the drive and your focus, Alecsys, and your mom and
Thank you.
talk about you from time to time, and she's loving what we're seeing, what she's seeing in you. So keep that up. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
So, we as a part of the boot camp, we have two sessions that are very, very interactive. Now, every week there's interaction, but these next 2 sessions I want to talk about are very interactive. We have the sales teaching on Tuesday, and then the sales simulation on Thursday. Then we have a negotiation skills training, and then a negotiation simulation. Now, for the audience, the simulation is no longer you're talking about it. Now you have to actually do it. All right. So you go through a sales simulation. You have to sell something. Then you go through a negotiation simulation where you have to practice the art of negotiation. So what I want you ladies to do is to talk about your experience when you first heard about, okay, now you're going to have to do a sales simulation or a negotiation skill thing. What was that like? And what was the benefit to you by going through that exercise? So let's start with the doctor in the house, Dr. McEwen, and unmute yourself.
Here we go. I have like light coming in on the side. I'm like, do I close the blinds? What I do? The people can't see me, but I'm just gonna keep going. So, oh my goodness, the simulation. I was nervous. I was nervous, and that was the time that Damon would not let me quit, and I was like, okay, time out. He was like, nope. And I said, okay. So I literally had to continue going through it. But your question was, what was my first thought? I was just sweating bullets. I was sweating bullets because that was a major point that I've had to navigate as a business owner, feeling like I was actually selling myself. And so I definitely had to navigate that, but we worked through it. So thank you.
Awesome. So Alecsys, what was your experience like going through the simulation, and what did you think about it when you first heard it?
When I first heard it, I was like, all right, this is going to be easy because I can sell. This is what I do. But when we went through it, I was like, oh, this is not what, okay. I don't know if you can remember, but growing up, I used to try to sell things to you all the time. I thought I was an entrepreneur since I was like 5 years old. Try to sell things to you all the time, and you wasn't having it. So being in that simulation, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of that time, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I was just nervous, and I don't know what happened, but it was a good learning experience. Everybody needs to go through that, Yeah. And
So
sorry, to clear my throat.
What did it help you with on the back end now that you've gone through it? What aha moments you got from it?
Know your product, know what you're selling, have faith in what you're selling, and look at the person you're talking to. Pay attention to all the verbal body language and all that stuff, but be confident in everything that you're saying and what you're doing. Take time in between your answers when you and the person are going back and forth. Like, think about it for a minute, but don't just give up, and just be confident, pretty much.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And Ebony?
So for me, selling, I wasn't necessarily foreign to it. So it didn't, the actual act of it didn't make me nervous, but being evaluated in front of a group made me nervous, right? Because just like when I said, when Angela, when she cut you off on your time, because you sometimes in your head, you're like, oh, this is hot. Like, I know what I'm going to say. And how I'm gonna say it? And she was like, it's not hot, right? So that part, I mean, but you and I say that to say you all listen, like it's a safe environment, but you're being stretched. And so I think that was the hard part, putting myself out there in a, in that group setting. But it definitely was it was eye-opening because then you're like, oh, because I think one time I did the pitch and Cedrick, you were like, Ebony, you didn't even mention that the podcast is international. You were like, lead with that, right? Lead with some of the things that are successful. So it was definitely helpful because, we learned, oh, okay, next time maybe I'll put that in there. Maybe I'll take that out. And the other thing too that you really all taught us in those simulation was it's just a hook. So have something that's really strong. So then when the person gets intrigued, then that's when you can give them everything that you got, right? But get the person in the door first, right? Because if they're turned off, then you're not gonna move forward.
Right. Absolutely.
I love it. Look, Ebony, what you got me sounding like a taskmaster over here.
No, it was, you set that expectation, right? And I prefer that. I think I told you all when I heard the word boot camp, I'm like, I'm ready to go, right? And so I like that little bit of balance and that little bit of push. That's just my preference. Like you can't always be like, oh, would you like to do your simulation? Not like that's not me. Like it's like, okay, no, try it again. And that was another thing too that happened during the simulation. Sometimes you all will ask somebody, okay, do it again. You gave the feedback and then you allowed the person to pitch again. And I think that was very helpful as well.
No, you're exactly right. And I'm laughing because it's entertaining to hear how you guys felt going through it. But also, you're exactly right. You used the right word, boot camp. We can think about military boot camps, fitness boot camps. Dr. Tamia, right? Like boot camp, that terminology, it means what it means. We're going to whip you in shape. And in this context, we're trying to whip your business in shape. And so, let there be light. So we are trying to take you someplace in a finite period of time that you've never been before. So thank you for sharing that. So one of the things we did in the boot camp you all were in, as we continue to up level the boot camps, is we brought in some outside business owners, and they included, Marcus Davis from the Breakfast Club and Jason Reuter with the price and profit margin, and so can you talk a little bit about how, in addition to having us as mentors, bringing in that level of expertise and experience, and what was that impact on you guys? So, Alex, if you're able to respond, or if you heard the question, would you like to go first about the impact of having both Marcus and Jason come in as experts?
Oh man, that was so awesome listening to Mark and Jason, I believe it was. Mark was the guy from Houston, if I remember correctly, right?
Right, the Breakfast Club. Yeah.
I remember telling my fiance about listening to that podcast. I said, "Yeah, babe, you gotta listen to this." Like I was trying to get around, but she wasn't listening to it. Then I came to work the next day, and I was telling my coworkers about it. Just like, man, this guy, he reminds me so much of myself. Trying to go get this person to do that, and go this person to do that to go in with you. But he never quit, and he just kept going, and then he just made it happen for himself. And now he has like this thriving business in Houston, and everybody loves it. He just did what he loved to do. Like I was so on fire about that. And then listening to Jason, that made me really get my systems in order as far as like my number accounting system and all that stuff. That's why I was so excited when I got my accounting software together. I told you guys, like, hey, I got my software together, guys. Now I'm ready to go. That's very important. Like I had my own little budget system, but he made it clear to me, very plain to me, how important it is to have all your budgets and your numbers and everything kind of precise, and you know how to go to this to find this, to go to this to find this. It's just, that's what you need. And when you're a starting business person like myself, or you've been in business for a long time, you need to have that groundwork and those systems laid out. If not, you're just gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, that's so true. And our hope was, of course, that, it's one thing for us to tell you, but now we were bringing to the table potentially people that you may or may not be in a situation where you could rub elbows with, right? So not only hear from them, but ask of them. So, Tamia, talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you to have those guest speakers.
So it was awesome. And I definitely want to mention, I lived in Houston for many years. I have, before I was vegan, I definitely had my share of fish and grits and chicken and waffles. I stood in the lines at the Breakfast Club many a days. And, so that definitely that experience. So being able to hear from Marcus Davis that I have idolized in person and from afar was awesome in listening to his journey, and not only the different startup ideas that he had, what he went through with the friends. So having the experience of seeing actual business owners, some additional business owners thriving, talk about how they got there and navigating the phases of entrepreneurship was encouraging. It was encouraging and kind of allowing me to see myself in their journeys and make it applicable to where I am now. And, even hearing the experience of the actual, have to take it back to money, the numbers, what the numbers look like within my industry, within my business, what I'm doing. And so both of those just top notch business industry individuals. It was amazing for me.
Great. All right, Ebony, what about you? How did you feel about that experience?
So for me, when we had an opportunity to chat with Marcus, it was inspirational for a number of reasons, right? I love when I can see men of color that are thriving, that are community focused and family focused, right? So that just lit me up, because so many times in our media, we don't get to see positive imagery of people of color. And so, like, as Alex mentioned earlier, this platform allowed us to see other Black and brown people, and there were other, white people. The group is for anybody, first of all, if you're watching it, right? But we got that exposure, right? And that just really spoke to me. And to hear from somebody like, listen, this is how it started. It wasn't much. There was a struggle. I was trying this type of marketing, and people were with me and people were not with me. And he just eventually, is thriving, and multiple locations and different kind of sectors and that he kind of entertained. So it just made you think like, oh, this is possible. So yes, you're going to struggle, and yes, it's going to be difficult, but if you keep with it, right, that fruit is going to blossom, and you're going to be happy with the end product. And to know that even during the pandemic, he still was doing well. So it was just, I was definitely motivated, right? I just love seeing our men in particular. That's just my bias, right? Because I desire to see more millennial men become entrepreneurs and are civically engaged and are centered around family. So that just, it checked all the boxes for me. It was a great discussion, and good reminders were provided.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you guys very much for that. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to talk to the audience and help someone out there is contemplating whether they should become a member of the boot camp, or join the boot camp rather. Tell them why should they sign up for this boot camp. And Ebony, I'll start with you.
So, I mean, you have a decision, right? You could, wherever you are now, right? You could stay there, or you can participate in the boot camp and be provided with tools and resources and a network to be in a new position in a short period of time, right? So make the investment in yourself, as Alex mentioned earlier, right? This is about professional growth and development, right? So if you got to hustle to come up with the money for the class, come up with something creative. You got to pass the offering plate, whatever it may be. Make that investment in yourself and know that you are going to be in a different place if you do the work. If you do the work, you are going to be in a different place once you finish.
Yes. Alecsys?
I would tell the next person that's ready to join this boot camp, like Ebony mentioned, either you're going to do it or you're not. But if you feel like you're ready to elevate your money, your mindset, and your growth, you just got to go all in. You'll be provided with the tools to not only help yourself personally, but to grow your business. Then you're going to get a great community of people to help you continue to see that success. And if you're the average of your closest friends, right? So just imagine if you're in a group of people that's already successful and doing the thing, why not be the part of that? Be a part of that growth, So if you want to take your business to the next level, join the boot camp. It's in January. Go for it. If not, then keep worried about what was me, pretty much.
And if I can just piggyback off of Alex real quick, the other thing I want people to know is that it's for people on all type of levels, right? So don't think that you have to come in with. I didn't know what my business would be or had things defined. Just come in. If you have that inkling, it's for anybody on any level, and they cultivate and work with you, because the instructors have various levels of experience.
Right. Absolutely. Tamia?
Yeah, I would add to that. I would definitely add to that. If you're ready, you have an idea, build off that idea. Pretty much.
Yes.
So I'll definitely say mentorship is the glue that really allows for success. That's one of the ways that I was able to successfully complete my master's and my PhD program. I wasn't out there floundering by myself. I had a cohort of individuals who were helping to hold space for me. And that's exactly what BEI is. So, why should you join BEI? I said previously that, BEI is like the HBCU of business, institutes. It is like, hey, y'all, this homecoming, how you been? How your mama and them? But BEI is that space that's created for where people actually care about your success. I've sat in some other institutes and we haven't had a call back. There haven't been individuals reaching out in a hub to say, how are things going? Let us know what you're doing so we can share it. So why should you join? You should join because you definitely have people who care about you. You definitely have people who are on your team and who are rooting for you.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today. Thank you for pouring into your business and joining the boot camp. Thank you for continuing the journey. I know Alecsys is in the Emerald Club. So continue building your business. And remember, once you're part of us, you're part of us. And if we can reach out, even if you're not in Emerald, we can help in any way. We're always here to help. So feel free to reach out. So before we go, what I want is you three to just kind of follow up really on your business, right? What offers you may have out there, how people can contact you. And I'll start with Dr. McEwen.
So two things I definitely want to talk about. So my virtual wellness community that you can join, actually have a session tomorrow every Saturday. At 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we come together and move our bodies, breathe together for at least an hour. And I've also launched a custom yoga mat in partnership with Toned by Magnum. So those are two things that I have that have been launched. You can find them, they're on my outlets. Be Well Friends LLC. I'm right there on Facebook. You can find me in everything I have. So thank you.
And we have your website, right, and your different links. So we'll be able to post those in the comments as well.
Thank you.
Awesome, Ebony.
So Sisters is 30 is the life navigational podcast for millennials navigating their 30s, and I'm on every platform. So put me in on Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor, you name it. Look me up, check me out. Episodes air every Friday. One is actually getting ready to drop here pretty soon. You can look me up on Instagram at Ebony L. Porter, Facebook at Ebony L. Porter. Feel free to DM me. And that's really what I have for you right now. Cakes will be out in 2021. So make sure to get in contact with me so we can get those orders ready for you.
Awesome. And I'm going to have to make sure I invite you on Talk Leadership with Cedrick when you launch. So let me know when you launch and we'll get you invited to the show to come talk about it.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Alecsys?
Okay, so just a few things coming up Monday, November 16th at 11 a.m. I'll be teaching my free Cooking with Cannabis one-on-one class. So that should help us, the consumers, be able to make a more educated decision when we're out in the stores purchasing our CBD products. Another thing that I offer from now until the end of the holiday season, you can get your cannabis cooking essentials pretty much. You get buy two, get one half off. That's a good deal, especially for those that are cooking their Thanksgiving dinner and all that. But family dining should make the holidays very fun. If you want to find out more information on edibles or how you could be a more conscious thinker with your edibles, you can find me at Edibles by Alecsys Incorporated on Facebook. You can join the Cool Club on Facebook, all kind of information on there. And then you can find me on Instagram at your girl Alex, YAGIRL Alex.
Awesome. So Angela, thank you guys, you ladies, very much for coming on the show. Angela, I'm going to let you round out the show, and so tell us when the boot camp starts, how can they register for the boot camp, and what offers we're going to have out there for them.
So unfortunately for some of you, if you have yet to make the decision, you missed the amazing Black Friday offer we had. However, it's still not too late for you. What you guys can do is, because for the month of December, we have an amazing offer where we've discounted our regular enrollment for the boot camp. So as you see on the screen, you can go to www.blackentrepreneurinstitute.com. Enrollment for cohort number 3, and you heard Dr. Tamia talked about the value of mentorship and being in a cohort. So when you join our boot camp, you're a part of a community, but it's your class, your cohort. And so people have already joined this next cohort. Don't let this opportunity escape you. We're highly intentional with our efforts. We don't run boot camps every day. We're serious. We're focused as the mentors. We carve out this time. So we only run a boot camp once a quarter. So January 5th starts our next boot camp. So if you're looking to turn 2021 into your year of growth, your year of elevation, your year of business development, then you want to be a part of this boot camp. Enrollment closes on January 3rd. But don't wait to January 3rd. This is December. End your year right. Let this be the gift you give yourself, the gift of growth for you and your business.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to make sure that you guys have a great December, have a great holiday season with your family, whether you're here in the United States, you're in a great country of Texas, or you're somewhere else. But make sure we see you January 5th when we kick off boot camp number 3. I'm looking forward to it. And remember, as I always say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.